Let's get real for a moment. The conversation around size, sex, and what women can or can't handle has been clouded with misconceptions for too long. We've been conditioned to think that certain things need to be a certain way, but here's the truth: everyone's different, and what feels good for one person may not feel the same for another. It's about comfort, communication, and consent, always. So, how much can a woman take? Honestly, it's not about that. It's about what feels right for her. What makes her feel safe, seen, and empowered. No woman should ever feel pressured to endure discomfort for any reason. Pleasure is personal, and no one should define it for you. If something doesn't feel good, speak up. If it feels good, own it. The size of anything doesn't matter unless there's trust and connection. Sex isn't about checking boxes or meeting expectations. It's about real intimacy, about being present with each other. It's about communication, not comparison. Let's throw out the idea that more is better, that bigger somehow means better. It doesn't. What matters is mutual respect, understanding, and satisfaction. Women deserve to feel comfortable, heard, and in control of their bodies. Never let anyone make you feel less than. Your pleasure, your choice, your comfort. How much can a woman take? She can take exactly what makes her feel empowered, respected, and connected. And anything less than that isn't worth it. So let's stop measuring, start communicating, and own what makes us feel good. Pleasure is deeply personal and subjective. What one individual finds pleasurable or satisfying can vary dramatically from another, even within the same context. This simple yet profound truth is often overlooked in today's world, where external standards and societal expectations tend to overshadow personal experience. We live in a culture that's constantly telling us what we should like, how we should feel, and what should bring us joy or satisfaction. When it comes to sex and intimacy, this is especially true. However, pleasure is not a one-size-fits-all concept. It's unique to each person, and it's shaped by a multitude of factors: physical, emotional, psychological, and even cultural. From the moment we are born, we start forming our own understanding of what brings us pleasure. Some of these preferences are shaped by our biology, what feels good to our bodies, how we experience sensations, and what we are naturally drawn to. Other preferences are developed through our interactions with the world around us, how we are taught to see and experience intimacy, how we internalize cultural standards of beauty or sexual norms, and how we form relationships. Our upbringing, our past experiences, and even the way we communicate with our partners can all play a part in defining what feels pleasurable to us. This process is incredibly nuanced, and it evolves over time. It's essential to recognize that what feels pleasurable for one person in a given situation might be uncomfortable, even painful, for another. This is particularly relevant when it comes to conversations about sexual intimacy, where topics like size, stamina, and technique often dominate the discourse. We've been led to believe that there are specific, objective measures for what should be pleasurable, particularly for women. Society often presents a standardized version of what sexual satisfaction looks like, leaving little room for individual preferences or nuances. However, this mindset ignores the reality that pleasure is not defined by these external benchmarks. It's defined by what you, as an individual, experience and what makes you feel fulfilled and connected to your body and your partner. It's easy to fall into the trap of comparison. We're bombarded by unrealistic portrayals of sex in the media, where certain physical traits or acts are shown as ideal. These representations often set up impossible standards, leading many people to believe that their own experiences are somehow inadequate or that their pleasure should conform to a narrow set of expectations. This couldn't be further from the truth. True pleasure comes when we stop comparing ourselves to others or trying to fit into someone else's idea of satisfaction. It comes when we start to understand our own bodies, communicate openly with our partners, and explore what truly feels good without judgment or self-doubt. In intimate relationships, pleasure should be mutual, but it's also deeply personal. What you enjoy might not be what your partner enjoys, and vice versa. And that's perfectly okay. Healthy sexual experiences are about collaboration, not competition. It's about taking the time to understand each other's needs and desires and navigating those desires with mutual respect. Pleasure is not something that can be dictated from the outside. It's something that must be discovered, explored, and communicated openly between partners. When we acknowledge that everyone's experience is different, we open the door to a more authentic and fulfilling connection, one based on understanding and respect for each other's individual pleasures. It's also important to note that pleasure is not always about physical sensations. It's easy to reduce pleasure to what we feel in our bodies, but emotional and psychological aspects are just as important. For many, intimacy and connection are just as much about trust, vulnerability, and emotional safety as they are about physical touch. Emotional fulfillment can enhance the experience of physical pleasure, and when there's emotional resonance, the physical experience often becomes deeper and more meaningful. The emotional aspect of pleasure cannot be ignored. It's what connects us to one another in a way that goes beyond the physical body. Additionally, pleasure can evolve over time. As we grow, our understanding of what brings us joy, fulfillment, and satisfaction can shift. What once felt pleasurable may no longer hold the same allure, and that's entirely natural. The human body changes, desires evolve, and so do our relationships. This constant evolution of self and of intimacy is a testament to the complexity of human pleasure. It's a reminder that our experiences aren't static, and our needs and desires may look different at different points in our lives. This evolution is not something to fear or shy away from. It's a celebration of our growth as individuals and as partners. In the end, pleasure is not something that can be quantified or measured by outside forces. It's not about fitting into a mold or meeting certain criteria. It's about embracing the uniqueness of each person's experience and giving yourself permission to explore what truly brings you joy and satisfaction. Whether you're alone or with a partner, the key to understanding your own pleasure is to listen to your body, communicate honestly, and allow yourself the freedom to experience intimacy on your own terms. Pleasure is yours to define, and it's something that evolves with you throughout your life. So, the next time you find yourself comparing your experience to someone else's or questioning what you enjoy, remember this: your pleasure is as unique as you are, and that's something to be celebrated. Communication, comfort, and consent are the pillars of any healthy relationship, particularly when it comes to intimacy. These elements are often discussed in abstract terms, but when we break them down, we realize they are the very foundation that creates safe, meaningful, and fulfilling connections between people. Without communication, there is no understanding. Without comfort, there is no trust. And without consent, there is no respect. These three principles not only serve as the bedrock of intimate relationships but also extend to every interaction we have in our lives. They are interconnected and essential, especially when navigating the complexities of sexual and emotional connections. Let's start with communication. At its core, communication is about sharing thoughts, feelings, and needs in a way that is clear, honest, and respectful. In an intimate relationship, this means having the courage to express desires, boundaries, and concerns openly and without fear of judgment. It is the foundation upon which both partners can understand each other's wants, fears, and limits. Without this kind of open dialogue, there is no way to truly know what makes the other person feel comfortable or what might make them uncomfortable. Communication is not just about speaking, it's also about listening. It's about being present with your partner and creating a space where they feel safe to share their truth, knowing that it will be received with empathy and understanding. In the context of sexual intimacy, clear communication about consent, boundaries, and desires is vital. Each person has the right to define what is acceptable and comfortable for them. This is not just about saying yes or no, it's about having an ongoing conversation, checking in, and being receptive to any changes in feelings, desires, or discomfort. Good communication means that you both know what to expect from each other, what each person values, and what is off limits. It is an active process, not a one-time event. For example, someone might initially be comfortable with a certain act, but later realize it's no longer something they enjoy. In a healthy relationship, this change is communicated openly and accepted with care. Comfort is the next crucial element in creating a positive and respectful relationship. Comfort is the space where both partners can relax, be themselves, and feel free to express their needs and desires. When someone feels comfortable, they feel safe enough to explore, to take risks, and to fully engage in the experience without fear of judgment or harm. Comfort is built over time, and it requires trust. It's not just about physical comfort but emotional comfort as well. When you feel emotionally secure with a partner, you can be vulnerable with them, and vulnerability is at the heart of real connection. In contrast, when there is discomfort, whether it's from a lack of communication, unspoken boundaries, or disrespect, there is no trust, and the relationship becomes strained. Comfort is the psychological and emotional space where intimacy can flourish, and it's built through consistent care, respect, and understanding. Consent is the most fundamental aspect of a healthy intimate relationship, and it must always be prioritized. Consent is the explicit, enthusiastic, and ongoing agreement to engage in any activity. It is a continuous process, not a one-time decision. True consent means that both parties are actively participating and are fully aware of the actions taking place. It's not just about saying, yes, at the beginning, it's about respecting the autonomy and rights of each person throughout the experience. Consent also means that either person can change their mind at any point, without pressure, guilt, or consequences. If one person is uncomfortable or no longer wants to proceed, their decision must be respected immediately. Consent requires mutual respect, empathy, and a commitment to ensuring that both partners are comfortable and fully engaged in the experience. Consent is sometimes misunderstood or reduced to a simple, yes, or, no. However, real consent goes beyond that. It involves being attuned to the other person's nonverbal cues, recognizing changes in body language, and being responsive to emotional signals. A person's body may say one thing, even if their words do not explicitly communicate it. This is why paying attention to your partner's emotional state and nonverbal behavior is just as important as verbal consent. Respecting boundaries and knowing when to stop or slow down is essential to maintaining trust and comfort in the relationship. Clear, continuous consent is the basis for any kind of intimacy, and it cannot be assumed or coerced, it must be freely given by both parties. These three principles, communication, comfort, and consent, form the foundation of any healthy relationship. When these elements are missing, it can lead to misunderstandings, discomfort, and even harm. On the other hand, when these principles are upheld, they create a space where both partners feel valued, respected, and empowered. Healthy communication allows for growth and connection. Comfort fosters trust and vulnerability. And consent ensures that each person's rights, desires, and boundaries are respected. These elements are not negotiable, they are the bedrock upon which every meaningful relationship is built. Without them, intimacy becomes transactional and empty, rather than genuine and fulfilling. Ultimately, a relationship grounded in communication, comfort, and consent is one where both people feel heard, safe, and valued. It allows for a deeper understanding of one another and creates a space where both partners can explore their desires, boundaries, and needs freely. In such an environment, intimacy becomes more than just a physical experience, it becomes a way to connect, to share, and to grow together. In a world where external pressures, social expectations, and misconceptions often cloud our understanding of intimacy, returning to these three simple yet powerful principles can make all the difference. When we prioritize communication, comfort, and consent, we are not only enhancing our intimate relationships but also fostering a culture of respect, understanding, and mutual care.